Thank you. All right, hopefully you all had a chance to review the May 9th minutes. Do I have an approval or a motion to approve? Mandy motions. Can I have a second? Dave, thank you, Dave. All right. Scott, you sent your report. Hopefully people have had a chance to review any new things you'd like to highlight.
Clarify for Pam, that is the town. I apologize.
Okay.
It is the town on their pay apps. So
Okay.
the other times on the bottom one were East End that I said it was a pay app for East End.
Okay, so it was all for the town.
That 3.5 hours.
Should have been a team.
Yep. So I'll correct that.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions on Scott's monthly report?
I think there was one thing, it's really not a big deal, but I think Scott said he was working with the village on the LWRP, which
I was just saying I was waiting for the,
Yeah.
like,
actually you didn't say it. Your report didn't say that. It was the minutes said that. So just for clarification, it could say he was waiting for feedback from them. I should have.
So
responded.
maybe make that change to the minutes and then say it was motioned to approve with the change.
Okay.
That'll cover us. Thank you. Scott, I had two questions that weren't on your report. So I think it was emails, and I think at the last meeting, you were gonna check with the Oswego mayor on who they use for housing.
I've emailed him and I left him a voicemail at his new job and he hasn't got back to me.
Okay.
I've searched the internet to find that housing report and it's not published anywhere.
Okay.
There's some information in their DRI report about a housing study, but it doesn't say who did it. So I will continue to try to find it, but I did quite a bit of research to try to find it.
Yeah, okay.
There's low income housing reports for the city of Oswego, but there's nothing on like our housing market study.
Okay. And the Bridge Authority, did you find anything on the destination study?
Not for TI either. I
No.
looked on their site, I looked everywhere. I didn't upload it, been having some computer issues. I do have a copy of the Lake Placid area one that I'm gonna upload into the files just so everybody can see that.
That's their housing study or destination?
That's their
Destination study. Okay,
But I
well,
did
that's
not-
good. Does it say who did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
but I did not find anything for TI tourism or the TI Bridge Authority. I looked through all their websites and all their reports and I did not find any destination studies.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions for Scott?
Scott, do you think that Oswego housing report is actually Oswego County? And not
I've tried that
city?
too. I looked at theirs.
Okay.
All they had for reports is like
Okay.
their
See,
low
the-
housing income. It was done by the city because they used it to do their DRI and to get the block 74 or some kind of housing project that just got all these awards on the waterfront. Oh, I can't find it. Oh,
Yeah, and the mayor was the one who talked on the seminar that I went to.
Right,
And,
right, I remember you saying that.
and I called his office before he left a couple of times trying to get an answer. Scott knew him, so I thought maybe with, if you know him, maybe.
Yeah.
Because clearly I was an unknown.
He's moved on to the hospital now
Yeah.
and hasn't returned my call either, so.
I don't know if that is a true statement, Mary Farrell.
Okay, any other questions for Scott on that item? I know I'm buzzing through this, but we have a big agenda. Good? All right. Tactical working group, Dave.
Okay. So we met twice. The first time we covered the first two focus areas, and then the second time we met, we covered the second two focus areas. What we came up with are some, we'll call them tactical actions to recommend as we move forward as part of the working parts of the strategic plan that Scott created. So the theory behind it and the higher level stuff is still in there. As he created, what we did was we focused on what to do with that moving forward. So I'm going to go through each area here. We narrowed it down and kind of focused on some things that we want to get to in 3 different levels. One is high priority, which is the next 9 months. medium priority, which is out to 18 months, and then low priority, which is 36 months. So it's 9, 18, 36. The reason we chose those was 9 months so that we have time to action them in here, but we think they're important enough that we need to get to them right away, but just the turnover time. 18 months is basically a year, and gives us time to kind of put things in the secretary. The 36 months is really because we're on 36-month appointment windows. So
Mhm.
basically trying to do it within our tenure, or make the decision to pass it on to the next. So looking at focus area number 1, we have 2 high priority areas. The first one is to develop a housing needs survey. We talked about that before, but it's to identify opportunities to seek developers or funding to look at what housing we need here in the village and where those opportunities are. We think that's, again, needs to be done right away. Second one is cultural and heritage events. So promoting and expanding community events that celebrate the history. Basically, we want to create a map of what events are currently going on within the village and the town, and then identify any gaps in there, and then try to fill those gaps with other events. We think that's a high priority, mostly because it's let's call it low hanging fruit. It is an opportunity that we can actually get to in a relatively short period of time with low investment. Okay, going on to medium priority for preserved community character. Number 1 is create a comprehensive listing of buildings, land, places that are available that we can then advertise for redevelopment within the community. Specifically, we're talking about locations like the Roxy or the old hardware store. Basically to either engage or discuss it with the owners now with the opportunity to try to move it into active use again. Next one is identify a venue to promote year-round activities for family and youth, but in general. So we need to find a location where we can do events throughout the year. Talked about that place next to our office downtown, something like that, where we can bring vendors in, or we can host events during, to bring the community in, highlight what Cape Vincent offers.
Hey, can I pause you for a
Yep.
minute? So the 9-month things make sense that, that's something we need to start right away. When you guys talked about the 18 and 36 month, was it the thought that like we get the 9-month ones going and then start the 18 months?
Sure.
Or
It could be concurrent.
it could be, did you talk about what needed to be concurrent or?
No, we didn't
Okay.
get that far.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wondered.
But I think, what we were really being considerate of, we're a small board,
Mhm.
so we can't tackle 50 items in 9 months.
Well, yeah, and some
And
of these are
so
big.
They're big.
They're
so-
big, yeah.
And so we tried to go with the high priorities first, and then we wrap the others around it in terms of medium and low.
Yep, perfect. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but I needed to get that
No,
in my
that's
head.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so moving down, we also had a study and recommend option for short-term rental laws, as well as restrictions that need to maintain community character. So we really kind of feel like we need to be careful that this place doesn't turn into an Airbnb central, or at least if there's nothing we can do about it, try to come up with a plan on how to exploit that. One of the things that's involved in that is mapping the short-term rentals to assess where we really stand, because what we couldn't identify was how many of the buildings, how many of the homes in the village, in the town are Airbnbs or
Yeah.
not occupied.
May I make a point?
Please.
New York State has just passed a law that they haven't figured out how they're gonna put it into play, but all short-term rentals will have to register. It will give towns the ability to tax them if they want. But they approve the registry database of Airbnbs.
Okay.
So stuff will be coming, but you know
Carol,
that will
is
be
that
fast.
short-term rentals or just Airbnb
That's what short-term,
Short-term.
short-term rentals, Airbnb
are in the same common, okay? Because I know some states is separate, so I was curious.
Airbnb's the company. It's just like Airbnb's just a vendor.
It's a
not like
marketing,
VRBO,
yeah,
but they're short-term rentals.
Okay.
The register of
Okay.
the state, they have to pay state taxes now, and the locals can get that tax.
Well, yeah, once they do something, once they figure out how they're gonna implement it, because right now, if the state law doesn't sales tax rentals anyways. If it's a home without services, there's no sales tax on that short-term rental. So before even sales tax gets into place, they're gonna have to pass some other laws.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to be a while, but the registry part, they wanna know who's doing what.
And I think from our perspective, it really is to try to understand the problem or the, not necessarily the problem, but the issue itself. We all, I know I personally think that there's a lot of it in here, but I don't know what a lot really means.
Yeah.
So,
But with the
getting that
registry-
map together.
With the registry, they'll give the town or the village the map of what's in their community. And
Right.
in other states that have it, they can't even advertise on Airbnb unless they have the state registration number. So like when I was looking for one in Tennessee, they all have Tennessee state registration number on it, or they can't even post on there.
That would be real helpful then.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna be provided to us,
Okay.
depending on how quickly the state figures out how to implement what they pass.
Yeah, and there's
Excellent.
been some reluctance on the, I know we don't want to talk about each one of these, but there has been some reluctance from the town and the village. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, to try to regulate
To
this so
tackle
far.
it, yeah, because the county didn't want to.
Right, so I think.
But I think all that's gonna change now.
Yes,
with this.
definitely.
Yeah,
will.
but
And I
so I
think it's
think
great
that could
because it
change
puts
that,
them all
it could
level
change that
playing field.
priority.
And the way we were looking at it wasn't whether it was good or bad. I mean, we weren't
Yeah,
trying to
it
look
was
at it
more of
that
an
way. It's just,
inventory.
how do we want to
Mhm.
proceed,
Yeah.
you know, with that issue? Hey, Bill, do you have anything you wanna, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the key is, if we don't go ahead and get an idea of what the rental market is, and then find a way to fill in the blank for said short-term rentals, it is a strategic threat to anything we do with regard to housing, because we'll put in all this effort and developers, et cetera, and funding, assuming all this stuff comes to pass. And it will be completely undermined if we don't have a mechanism in place that specifically addresses Airbnb, short-term rentals, et cetera. If the direction is for housing with an idea of attracting those younger families with kiddos, remote work, et cetera, et cetera.
Moving on, we had, develop public safe access from the East End Park to the village downtown business areas with common aesthetics and character. So really focusing on connecting East End with downtown. Mostly we were thinking about a bike path, something to do two things. Will allow people to walk if they bring their boats down to the East End Park, be able to get into the village safely without having to cross the street, but also clean up some of the aesthetics that are along that area. And get us back to what we were talking about before and having bike access around. Next one is, and that's a long-term thing because we know it's going to take a long time. Partner with the village and town to support any grants or funding to ensure the constant continuation of the ferry and international border crossing. Again, that's aspirational long-term goal. And then the last one that I had, oh, no, two more here. One, incentivize development of diverse housing options to include rentals, senior workforce opportunities, and particularly in the downtown area. But going back to what we said before, do we want to, you know, what type of housing do we need to continue to expand here in the village or in the town? And then the last one was a discussion for tonight. Do we want to consider becoming a housing generator for the village or for the community? And that goes back to a fundamental question of whether, you know, do we want to pursue taking out building loans and creating those housing opportunities? It's one of the things as a local development corporation we can do.
I think we want a housing study before we make a decision on that.
It can be a low priority though.
Yeah, they're gonna stay.
Yeah, for future.
Did you send these out?
They're in the file to review.
Sorry, it was,
It was this morning, right?
we were
So-
pushed hard to get it done for today, so.
And we would want to involve what is currently called the Clayton Housing Authority, but did you say they're gonna change their name to make, because they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be, they're gonna change their name and mostly they're like a low income, but if we feel that there's low income housing is part of our need, then absolutely.
Summary, I think.
But we should,
I
we
don't know,
absolutely
so
should. And Clayton did not like who did their housing study, so I think they're looking for somebody else, so they may be able to give us a heads up too.
And I'm gonna want to preface all of this is, we're just giving you an overview of what we came up with. We
Yeah.
have no decisions made tonight. Everybody's gonna get a chance to review this. What we wanted to do is come up with some tangible things that we can work on moving forward,
Mhm.
kind of in an order. So we're not, what I asked the question, it's more rhetorical tonight to say, is this something we want to do? Think about it, and as we come back together, we can either amend the plan or take it out. Okay, moving on to focus area number 2, high priority efforts. We started with supporting the existing or potential childcare providers. We know we're already working forward on the one that's down the road, but if that one happens to fall through, we want to continue to maintain high priority on getting childcare in the village and in town.
She got her funding, right?
I don't know that she had the funding, but she submitted everything.
Right, no, but I mean, didn't she, because it's a reimbursable grant, so she got,
I think what she was able to prove that she could get what she needed
right,
for the
okay.
reimbursement.
So, but she won't build unless she gets the grant.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But there's other grants she's already looked at that
Mhm.
similar.
The next one, and what we considered the highest priority overall, is to create a collaborative community website that will advertise community events and existing and new businesses within the village. Something like CapeVincent.com that will do 2 things. Will unify all of the different and disparate places that we get information right now. And number 2, won't require anybody to put input into. So we're not asking people for money, to get onto the Chamber of Commerce website and be advertised. It is a location where it's one site to rule them all.
Right, and then can tunnel off to
Yep.
all the other ones.
And we will need to physically work to get that information together,
Mhm.
and draw it from the town, draw it from the village, draw it from all of the other locations.
And we might want to hire a branding company.
Yes,
Well, what we talked about is the New York Market grant leverage, if that could be leveraged for this type of initiative, when we do a common capevincent.com website, and we would get a consultant or someone who would do the work for us to build the site. But also, what I think is really neat, if that's the go-to, first of all, it puts Cape Vincent's Development Corp on the map, right? It's the go-to website, but then there can be links to the chamber website. There can be ways that we can connect the other websites. So they still can have their identity, they still can do their thing, but this would be a common area and neutral. We feel that would be really important.
We want to make sure we have somebody to maintain it too, because maintaining
Yes.
websites is a lot of work, especially if you're going to get all the information too. So
Scott,
just if we are going for a grant, we want to make sure that's.
Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a $50,000 minimum on marketing, you are correct?
Yeah, you're gonna need $100,000 budget to get a $50,000 grant.
Yeah, so you see, there might be something else out there, but I don't think we're gonna
Well,
spend.
what's the
50.
chamber budget? I mean, the chamber budget's gotta be
Right,
close
the
to
chamber is
50.
not interested in pursuing, which I was gonna say, I talked to Nicole this morning.
Why not? That makes 0 sense.
But again, I think once we propose the conceptual idea, it may be a distinct advantage for folks to come on board,
Oh, yeah, no,
So-
I think it's a great idea. Please don't think I don't, I'm just saying that I don't know that grant is gonna,
Yeah.
because of that 50,000 minimum, which I'm aware of because of the chamber work.
Okay. But again, I think it's something that's necessary and.
If I can chime in here.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Bill.
go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about how we fund it. I would worry about whether or not the group agrees that it's worth pursuing as a high priority. And after the 4 days in that class, I can 100% guarantee you it is a high priority item for the LDC. So if the group agrees for it, then the next thing is like, okay, then let's go ahead and pursue how we do it. And there may be other grants out there based on my conversation with folks here or down in Albany.
Okay, the next one is to, and this is high priorities because it's low hanging fruit, to support initiatives to establish, extend bike routes on a regional level. And that's working basically cross border with Canada and then on the river towns. The next one is to establish and administer procedures to be ready to process the New York Forward Small Business Fund. Just so that we're ready when that actually kicks off. The next one is, and this is a medium priority, support the expansion of high-speed internet access and other infrastructure improvements in the village because broadband and cell phone is inconsistent in the area. And if we want to bring in businesses, we want to bring in other people, that at least needs to be pursued. We put it as a medium priority just because we know it's not going to happen right away. It's going to take a while, but it is important. Next one, and these are all low from here on out, identify community talent skill gaps and create a job board or marketing initiative to attract volunteers who have the qualification. So one of the things we talked about is there are people in the community who can help us do certain things if we ask specifically for that certain thing. And using the website, you can hopefully be able to connect with them.
In essence, kind of do like a job board of needs for the community, and anyone could publish their needs. So, and that's my wheelhouse and talent, but I think it could be a really nice way to publish, XYZ organization needs this.
Yeah, and the chamber started a volunteer thing.
But it could also be employment.
Well, it could,
opportunities.
but what I was saying is that they're already playing in that space a little bit, so it's something we should probably look at.
And I think if we link with them, it's great. Again, it goes back to, communication. All right, next one, support and promote new business opportunities. Obviously, that's just an ongoing effort. And then the last one is support business development with the creation of a Cape Vincent mobile display that represents the community and business and lifestyles of the town and village. So what we're talking about is like a little recruiting booth that we can go to, economic development forums and stuff like that. Table runner, pamphlets on the village, something like that.
Visual backdrops. And then let's say there's an economic conference like Bill just attended. Is there an opportunity for us to market Cape Vincent to developers and different people? So there could be.
I did get a list. I asked the New York State Economic Development Council for a list of developers, which they, so those developers who are part of that group. I got a current list, but we can get a list anytime, which would maybe, if we do create some kind of marketing campaign, that would give us a to list, if you will.
More than halfway done, so we're getting there. Okay, protecting the environment was the third focused area. So we are looking at high priority issues. Number one, support and market the DEC aquarium. Once again, that's something that it's already here and we probably can do fairly easily to get that word out through the website. Next one is green space and environmental preservation. Consider the preservation of green spaces and natural environments as part of development plans. So really what we wanted to talk about there was making sure that we have a plan in place if we're going to protect those areas, how they aren't removed from the health and resource support of the village. So if they're going to, if we're going to create those green spaces, how do they then apply to being able to use the village, use the town
And public access.
and public access? That leads us into our next one, which is expand or engage landowners and nonprofit organizations to afford access for acceptable outdoor recreational activities. So specifically with Tilt, trying to get on their good side or have a positive relationship with them so that all these open spaces, these park areas, they say attract people. We as a town have the access to those locations. And then see how we can use that, whether we can expand them into walking trails or whatever. Next is identify unique natural features within the village to explore, to exploit for marketing. So any unusual things that, you know, we have the Cup and Saucer House, but what are the other things here in the village that then we can add in? Tied into that is, you know, I don't know if I brought it, but Clayton has a walking trail map, something like that, to be able to develop something like that, to highlight the features, put it online, have it in the locations downtown so that, again, it attracts people in the village. The next one is collaborate with the newly created National Maritime Sanctuary to exploit opportunities. This is, we're on the ground floor of this, you know, and so if we do that early, we may have better opportunities than waiting till later.
I know that Tug Hill was involved because of the article that we got. Was anyone from the town or village invited to be part of that whole maritime sanctuary?
We went to a meeting a couple of years ago. Not
But
much
not an
sense.
ongoing involvement. Okay.
I almost think village support resolution do it.
I don't think we did, because at that point, they wanted to come down into the river.
Because they're
We
worried
don't want
about
anything to do with it.
restricting activities in that area.
I'm thinking more of like, you know, trying to pursue a visitor center or something like that, that because it's the northernmost part where, you know, where the marine sanctuary begins, the National Park Service technically owns Tibbetts now. You know,
Well, not yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
It'd be New York State Parks, so.
So anyway, it's in that process though, you know, where
Mhm.
there are opportunities there. Because the sanctuary is here, we can at least look at some opportunities to exploit it.
Yeah.
Next one is, and this is a low priority, enhance recreational and tourist attractions. Really, that is trying to boost ecotourism and other ways to sustain the use of the river. Aspirational more than anything else. Last one, focus area number 4, engage governance. Number 1 is to create a fund to receive external public-private donations that will allow the LDC to establish grant programs. So basically the opportunity to, if people want to give us stuff, be ready to accept it and be able to put it back out into the community. Everything else on here is lower priority, but things we're going to continue to do. Support the town and village regarding design guidelines to ensure consistent development of the area. Specifically with regards to signage and things like that, to try to keep a theme going for the overall project. Community engagement and participation, encourage active participation from residents in planning and preservation decisions. Basically hosting or facilitating public discussion. That can either be done through surveys, public meetings, or any other way, website input, just to help get the word out there so that it's just another opportunity. And then the last one is forge a strategic partnership with other agencies, private sector entities, and nonprofit organizations. And then from Frontenac Island to the nonprofits to whatever. Again, low hanging, that's another one of those aspirational ones. Those are the things that we came up with. I think, you know, we settled on number 1 being the website, to then carry everything else off of that. Anyways.
So first of all, I think we all need to acknowledge the hard work that you guys did and a great job. So on behalf of the rest of the board, thank you. I agree. I think it's really well done. So thank you for doing that. What did you guys think would be the next steps?
What we did is I prioritized in a Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So this is the strategic plan document, the written
Right.
document. But then I took it to the action items, right? And I prioritized it on a spreadsheet. I don't even know if Bill got a chance to see it today.
No, we haven't
I
yet.
did it like at noon hour.
Okay, yeah.
We were crunching with all our business commitments to get this accomplished. But I did it, and then that's gonna be a really good visual document to look at all the highs. And then as a board, we can determine, okay, what I put board ownership, who's gonna lead these action items? And then target date of completion, because we have to be very realistic. So that's probably our next step, and we need to share this, but the working committee first has to bless what I put together. And we're just like, we're at the 9th hour. So that's the next step for us. And then we'd share that with you guys. So there's a tab for high priorities, medium priorities, low priorities. And then all the highs are gathered together so that you can really look at it and say, well, this is what the committee recommending are.
Yeah, do we agree that they're high and, yeah.
So that, but again, let the working committee bless this action item. It's kind of like a strategy plan that'll help us look at all the highs together. So
Okay, yeah, I mean, because what I did is I went through and just highlighted the highs and stuff.
yeah,
And I highlighted the 9 months. So-
but I summarized it for everyone, so it'll be much easier to view it that way.
Yep.
But I want the working, and we, as I said, I did it on my lunch hour today, so.
So
I
does
worked it
the
together.
plan, after we approve this as a committee, we take it and that's still, like, put it into the draft strategic plan, and are we still going to the community? And where does their vote come into this, or is there not a vote for them?
I don't think there is. I think, Bill, and you from your, that this is it. This is the strategic plan we're going with. But the board needs to look at it.
Right, but we had talked about doing surveys to get.
There is some incorporation in that, in the plan. They may be on the medium or low side, but it's incorporated in the plan. There is some community surveying.
I'll look at it, but I disagree with that if it's low, because we need to have community buy-in to get us on the map. This is a whole part of our marketing strategic plan for us as an LDC. They don't know who we are until we get to them to know who we are, and part of that is telling them what we're doing and giving them options to give us feedback. And I thought that was the whole plan with what Scott had
I think we
planned.
always said that we would do a presentation to the town and village board and open it to the public to present them with the strategic plan.
We also said we would do a survey.
Yeah.
I think that was discussion throughout is when this was going to be adopted.
Right. And a strategic plan is never really finalized, right?
Right.
It's a working
It
document.
is.
But I think we need to also be transparent with the community and tell them what we're doing, what our plan is. And I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of that.
I think once you read the content, you'll feel more comfortable, because it is blended in there for surveying and doing touch points for the public. Definitely it's in there, but I think if you read the content, and then also, once the working committee blesses this, this summary of the strategic plan, and you see the highs, like the website, we don't need, we may not need community insight on the pre-approved website. That's like an access. There's certain things in the highs and medians that might be very, it'll make more sense, I think, once you see the content.
Hey, Jim, could you go on mute, please?
I was gonna say, you can do it.
So I think to get to your question is, so
I'm
the way
still
we
here.
have it here is, we're gonna do one final check on it. We're gonna send it out to everybody in here. We can do a formal vote on it at the next meeting, approved, disapproved. From that, then we will schedule a joint briefing with the town board and make it open to present it officially. And then we continue to move out from there.
I guess the only thing I would think about is since we're partners with the village and town, does it make sense that we would get input from them prior to us saying we voted on it? Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of, maybe it's a chicken and the egg thing, but if we say, we've got this strategic plan, we feel good about, I would think that you get input from us, right? But I don't know that we formally adopt it with a vote until the village and town have a look at it. I don't know, that just
We
feels
can
right
send it
to
out.
me.
I would say we could send it out as soon as
Well,
Yeah,
Pam and
put these guys
Dan
together.
can carry that back to their boards, their
Mhm. We can
we can
respective
distribute it from
boards.
here. There's no reason.
Yeah, but I'm
that-
thinking like, before we would formally adopt it, it's just when would we vote on it? That's my.
But there's not really a rush to vote on it necessarily, right? Like if it's,
Well,
I mean, we can still start working on the,
oh, we could work on it,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
so if we
Yeah.
give our boards the opportunity
It's just
to
a
look at it
courtesy.
and comment,
Absolutely.
it wouldn't hurt anything and it shouldn't hold us up.
How do
Give them a
others feel?
Deadline.
It's
Is
just-
it in a form? Are we happy enough with it that they can take it to their boards at this point?
It's close.
Mandy hasn't even seen
Yeah,
it,
it's close, but
so I
we need
think
to-
I think we need
I think we
to,
should
See
wait
another
until
month?
next month.
Okay.
And we review it.
I'm thinking if
Because you guys might have.
it's out now
additional
on the,
comments.
it's out on our review. On Google Docs, we can all make comments. I think that might be a good way, and Jeannie, it's great that you're doing that, but maybe let's,
The only caution I give to recreate this, this was an 8-hour commitment. You in charge this working committee to do the work and to recommend. To change it again is gonna take, it's gonna take a lot of work.
I don't think
don't-
anybody's saying we can change it. if you send it today,
Yeah.
I
I'm
would
not
really
saying,
like to
I'm not
still
saying you
here.
shouldn't review it, but with a strategic plan, and Bill, please chime in. When we really did a lot of dialogue and discussion on this, and we really feel that we've identified the highs, the medium, and lows, and incorporated all that Scott did. He basically gave us the outline. There are things on here that we as a working committee, we deleted things. We didn't keep everything. So, go and look at it, but you can look at Scott's original draft and then look at our final draft and determine, oh, this is gone or this is gone. But we tried to, and we consolidated some thoughts that were duplicate.
yeah, I think, I'm not saying that we think it's bad work, we're
No.
not. I mean, what I'm saying is like, for example, I'm going through it and maybe I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, I'm not sure that I think that that's low. Can we have a discussion around it? I think it's.
Well, that can be ongoing at any time.
Right,
We can
but my
move stuff around.
point is that if we had a chance, I don't want to come to the next meeting and adopt it, and then it just feels to me that would be the normal course of events. That if you have made a recommendation, and that we should have a chance to react. Am I the only one that feels that way? I mean.
No,
I think that's been the pattern.
That's
we've
fair.
done.
That's
Yeah.
fair that you review the document. And then next month, again, I think we let Pam and Dan take it to their respective boards
Mhm.
for their review and comments. And that way, we can get their perspective of yes, no, or anything that they feel is missing as well. And then as a board, we can either add it as a high, a low, or medium. And then as the strategic plan develops, it can constantly be edited.
I think where I'm mostly focused on what do we want to do tactically. Because
Yes.
I agree. So, I mean, I think if you look through this, and I'm not sure I would find this, but I'm looking through this and I say, oh, wow, I really think that needs to move up to be a 9-month thing.
I think it'll be clearer too when we see the last rendition, the Excel,
Yeah.
where it prioritized.
It
Because
really
it's hard
gives
to
you
look
the
at.
prior-
It's
It's
hard to
so
look at
hard to
that.
read them all and move around.
Right, but so
So
all
my
I'm saying
summary
is,
might
I
be
think
helpful.
giving us a period of time, as those who were not deeply involved, right, of which
Definitely.
there are 5 of us, right, that were not deeply involved, that we should we should do that. That's only right if it's our strategic plan.
Now, what is the timing from, and the expectation from the village and town to get the strategic plan done? I thought that was a major action
No,
item
there's-
they were expecting of us.
They know, as far as the village, they know this board is working on it, but there is not an expectation.
Oh,
Okay.
Christine came to the meeting in April and said, where's the draft? The deadline had passed, like she
Well,
was.
Well,
she was
because that
trying
was
to
our
follow the-
timeline,
No,
and
that's
it
what
was,
I'm saying.
and
I
it was
think that-
supposed to be
No,
addressed.
I think
my
for some of the
perspective.
members, it was
But
important.
it was set by this board, that deadline. Our village board didn't say.
I know, I'm just saying, I think some of the members thought it was important. that
Yeah,
they
I
saw
thought
a
it was
copy.
there was a timing deadline that we needed to perform to.
No, and I think we should be careful not to just push it through just because. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
Dan,
some-
I mean, do you think your board is,
I don't think we have a timeline.
Okay.
I mean, we're well
I
aware.
mean,
of it.
I think from a timing, right, if we think about the money, right? We're gonna have another meeting, joint meeting in September. That's our
Okay.
second joint meeting. I would say we should have socialized this, feel comfortable with it, have it buttoned up. So we're like, those two boards have seen it, they don't have any heartburn, we're all feeling comfortable and we're moving forward. It just, that timing feels right to me, like that would be the purpose
Did
of
you ever
our
send the draft to
September
your board? I feel
discussion
like I
with the
sent the
boards.
draft to my board when Scott provided it to us, just, yeah. So our boards have had the draft from Scott.
Right,
already.
so it
Original.
sounds
So
like
they
there's
could-
quite a modification though, so we wanna share this next one.
I
I
don't
think it's
think
just
so.
collaboration. I think that the action items, the strategies and actions may have been combined for duplication.
Okay,
And my
Wording
fear
change.
is, I guess, the working committee, we really didn't want to have 180 action items.
yeah.
We wanted to
Totally
kind of
makes sense.
consolidate, and if it was a duplication of perspective, then that's what we did. We summarized and we tried to do
That's
that
good.
work. So again, I think that, everyone get an opportunity to review this document. And then the working committee hasn't seen my summary yet, so that needs to be vetted by you guys. And then that can be shared too, because that really just gives you a laundry list of highs, mediums, and low. And that really, I think, is easier to absorb than reading all the dialogue in the strategic plan.
And then even when we adopt it, something might disappear because we find out it's not even an option for whatever reason.
Well, this
and
whole
two
New
more
York
things
State
might
law
get on
thing.
there,
Well,
so-
and the maritime thing, if the town
Right.
doesn't want that's where they should vocalize it now, so we could take it out before we adapt it into a strategic plan.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
That might be something for you to bring up to the board, since that was a concern
Yeah,
before.
I mean, it's more regulation.
Yeah. So, but that, if that's something that the boards are concerned with, then we don't want to put that on our strategic plan.
Right. That'll all come out.
And I
in
would-
the process.
I would add, and maybe your committee considered it.
Well, so
At the last meeting,
Is he muted?
yeah, so can you all hear me?
Yeah, now, yeah.
No. I'm trying to talk. You can hear me?
Yeah. Oh, maybe you can't.
You're
hear
breaking
us.
up a little bit.
Okay. Hey, so, okay, look, I've heard all the discussion stuff. I don't mind, sharing it, reviewing it and all this other stuff. And, say there is a disagreement. And specifically, the example was whatever the New York state law on the zoning and Airbnbs, and that's not something the town or village wants to pursue. I still don't think that is something that we need to take away out of our strategic plan. Because remember, we're the LDC. We may not pursue it because, at the time, it's low because it's not a non-starter. It doesn't mean it's still not a viable effort that we view based off of whatever feeders we need to get after. So just be careful about what the feeders are and stuff like that, because there's a reason why we're supposed to take this mantle and move out, and we're doing the right thing and sharing it, communicating, and et cetera, but we're kind of moving into this next phase where we are supposed to be the entity that are kind of pushing these things forward, prioritizing, working, and et cetera. So I stop for that.
Scott, you were gonna say, but speak up because I think they have trouble hearing you.
okay, I was gonna say, you guys have maybe considered these. But at the last meeting, when I did the presentation and went through it, there was a number of items that the majority of this board wanted added. And you did add some like the Horns Ferry and the regional trail, but there was also discussion about adding the regional bus stop as a priority and working with the county metro group that's planning the free bus stop.
I don't even know if the bus stop was in there.
It wasn't.
It wasn't, and it was,
Oh,
the
right.
majority of this wanted to add it.
And that's a good review of
Yeah.
things that, if
And
there's
then-
things
no,
that
that's why I have
already
three.
added. Sure.
Okay, so add bus stop thing. What else?
We wanted to put in there something about building a partnership with Fort Drum. More of a
We did
partner-
discuss that
Yeah.
quite extensively, and our recommendation is to take it out, because
Okay, I just want to make sure it was
Yeah.
discussed, because the
that's,
majority
yeah,
wanted.
no, I'm with you.
And then, working with local agriculture for a farm to table program.
We didn't, we needed to add that, we didn't.
Okay,
I think there was something about agriculture, but I don't know if we specifically said farm to table.
No, we
no,
didn't.
but I just took some notes from the last meeting.
Yeah,
Thank
no, I
What the
appreciate
majority
that.
wanted to add, and I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
make sure we didn't.
Yep, we definitely needed to.
So if we're gonna review stuff, right, and get back to you, you're gonna send us a spreadsheet. You guys would rather us comment on the spreadsheet, am I understanding correctly?
However, whatever's easiest.
Well, no, you guys have seen both
Yes.
formats. It sounded like you think the spreadsheet is easier for us to react to.
Well, you want to look first at the document, because that gives you your buckets of
Okay,
initiatives. I'd start there and then utilize the spreadsheet. I didn't identify the buckets in the spreadsheet yet, because we were at the 9th hour, but then that'll help you cross-reference the highs and mediums, lows.
so when would you guys like us to get this done? And, you know, I'm gonna follow my sword and say, you're not gonna get anything from me until at the end of the first week of July.
We know that.
Have I brought up that I'm?
Time.
Just once.
I thought, I saw luggage outside. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. But no, if there's no deadline on timing, I had a different perspective on that, because I know there was comments made. I think we can, look at this next month. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It all depends on what people feel comfortable to get enough time to review it. It's an extensive document. There's a lot in it.
Yep.
So it's up to you guys as to what you perceive as appropriate timing to review the document. And once the working committee gives me a blessing to send the summary, that's just gonna help you organize your thoughts a little
Okay.
better.
So if we think about timing, if everybody promises to have their review, and there could be emails in between, right? Of, I have a question on this or whatever. I mean, some dialogue can just happen outside of the meeting. So by the July meeting, everybody will have reviewed it.
Are we gonna have a July meeting?
Well, that's the question. Are we gonna have
My
a July?
question
meeting?
is,
I will not be here.
will the village and the town have time, excuse me, by our July meeting to review the content?
It's gonna be pretty tight with everything going on and breakfast and all
Yeah,
that.
why don't we look at the August meeting for the vote, and then we present in September at the joint.
Okay.
That's the time,
I mean,
just to give the village and the town time to
Yeah.
review the documents. Okay,
All right,
so
right,
review
so-
through July and August.
right. So by the August meeting, but guys, comment. And so these guys aren't like coming to a meeting and all of a sudden people have 55 things, and go back and forth via email. So that by the time we're discussing it in August, we've kind of smoothed everything out, if there's anything.
So the last thing, just to offer out there is, remember, this is a strategic plan, so we didn't necessarily go down rabbit holes on individual things
Just
to
like
support.
Magic.
Hey, Bill, where are you?
Did you speak?
Well,
where'd you go?
I did not speak to all.
So
Thank you
just,
for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
when you do send the comments back, if you think of something, throw them in there, but they may not make it into the final plan because it's got to keep it.
Yeah,
Sell the
right.
stamps. It's like- it's like that.
Honestly, my thought, having had a little time to review this today, is I think really it's more about high, medium, low.
Yeah.
Than it is, like, this bus stop thing is an important thing to have, right?
We can include that in the content.
Yeah,
No, we'll figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah, those are little things. Those are little.
I
edits in content.
think that's what it's gonna be,
Okay.
that kind of a thing. At least from my review, which was quick. It was quick, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Excellent.
what we have.
Thank you guys very
All right,
much.
just one food for thought as you're going through this, okay? So one of the takeaways from the course was, from strategic plans, people kind of going through, is taking appetite suppressant, because a lot of the boards are talking about the IDAs and all this other stuff are all volunteers. So it depends on the capacity of the individuals, okay? So we want to do all these things. That's all interesting. But what they recommend is do those 2 or 3 things that have the most bang for the buck in the community. Whatever the direction we're going to go ahead and do, you can list all the other things. But the ones we're going to go ahead, that's the ones we're going to take a year, 2, 3 years.
Right.
So just keep that in the back of your mind if we put in something. All that stuff is interesting, but it will dilute what we need to put all our effort to. The marketing, our website, all our connections, grant writing, et cetera, et cetera. So just food for thought.
Yeah, and we'll be measuring our performance based on those that we pick.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We pick ones
So don't,
that
yeah, don't
we
overload.
can do, right?
I still think we have too many highs,
Mhm.
but we try to do low hanging fruit that can say, ha, we can check that off.
You get it done.
I'm still very concerned about all the highs we have, where we may want to move them to mediums and really focus, because once we go live, we got 9 months, the clock starts ticking.
Exactly.
And like the website, I think is a definite doable thing that we can do. But again, look at this and, really manage your expectations. What are we?
What do we really
able
want to
to
try to
do.
do in the next 9 months? Yeah.
Right.
All right, good, thank you. Any more discussion on that? Good work. All right, Carol, over to you. Pay some bills, man.
Oh, okay, so I hope you guys looked at the bill report. I have a copy here, I can read it if you like, but I have a copy for you. The bills total $5,274.26. The dry erase sign's up there, which is pretty cool.
That's
Check.
very good.
Yeah, I love it. Reversing bill is the only thing I added this morning to the expenditures. I had to get more checks and envelopes. And the website audit was $456.25. Anyways, I'd like a motion to pay these $5,274.26 worth of bills.
I would second that and thank Phil for going to the.
Yes,
because the
everything
information
sent
you've been
back,
sending is
Good
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's really great.
your summaries were excellent,
Yes.
and I have not read everything.
So Bill was generous enough to ask just for hotel and mileage reimbursement versus no food, because he says he eats anyway.
Thank you, Bill.
Who motioned it first?
Jeannie.
Okay, thank you.
Jeannie. And then, yeah. All right, you wanted to talk about the CD renewal?
I do want to talk about the CD renewal. The village is going to be giving us their portion of the funding next week, supposedly. So we'll have another 40,000. Right now, our bank account is hanging at around 40. The CD matures on July 12th, and that's 50,000. It's in at 4.25. The new rates are 4.75 right now.
And that's a 6 month.
Yes, yeah. I don't see a lot of huge expenditures in the next short term, so I definitely like to renew that CD, but I was also thinking when we get the villages 40, maybe we do 40 and then another 40, unless we see another month. I can wait and talk about it, or just renew the 50 as is, but it's just, I just hate money sitting without making anything off it. So my recommendation is to absolutely renew that 50. I mean, it leaves us, we spend about 5,000 a month right now. And even if we did 40 and 40, 2 different CDs, so they're staggered, it still leaves us a 6 months at 5,000 and a 30K safety net of money in the savings account that can get immediately. And that would be if we did 40. And then the town money is going to filter in.
Right, because the voucher's gonna get voted on, right?
Yeah, so
So your recommendation is to renew. or to
Renew the
do two?
50, renew the 50, and then I'd like to wait and see, make sure the village money does come in and that sort of thing. If something goes awry, who knows what could happen.
Mhm.
So my recommendation is to let us renew that on the 12th.
Yes.
So I'll have to sign and Dan will have to sign, or you'll be back. So whatever.
On
we'll
the
see
12th,
what
I'd
sign.
be back.
I'll make it
Whichever
up
works,
for
or
you
Dan
again.
can do it, because the three of us can sign.
So so that's my recommendation. I'd like to make a motion to renew the CD when it comes up in July. Because I'm not sure we're having a meeting, so that's why I
Yeah,
wanted.
we gotta talk about that.
A motion.
Okay.
So we got a motion, I need a second. Pam second, so Mandy and Pam.
So I'm gonna renew that, but I'm just putting it out there that I think we're gonna want to do another one, but get them more staggered.
Okay, so as long as we're talking about this and we dance around this, we have a recommendation on the floor that we would cancel our July meeting. So we know there's 2 board members who cannot attend the July 11th meeting. We would still have a quorum. So what are people's thoughts?
I cannot attend, who else can?
Mandy, so we got 2 people who cannot attend. It is, the day before French Festival starts.
What's the impact by eliminating that meeting? on the
Well, we would
road?
be able to have a discussion around the strategic plan. Carol would need to pass a motion tonight for us to authorize her to pay any bills that come in.
Well, is French Festival tying up the rest of the people here?
No.
I don't know why to cancel it. Really?
So let's see, we don't know about Jim because he signed off. So if 3 are gone, we still have 4, right? So it sounds like people want to keep the meeting. Okay.
No, I just wanted to know what the impact was. So if you get rid of it, then you're gonna have to catch it somewhere, do
Right.
something. I'm just wondering, is there something out there that necessitates a July meeting or discuss? And if we eliminate it, do we then crunched in August or September?
Well, I think the big thing is anything with the strategic plan or
Didn't
the
we talk
tactical
about
part
doing
of
it in
this.
August anyway?
Yeah,
And
we
then
did say.
The joint boards in September, so we wouldn't really lose too much.
Right. And all we would have
I'm
to
fine
do
either
is,
way, whatever everybody
um,
thinks.
I am too. I mean, I'll have family home by that day. but
yeah, I think it is a very busy.
Have a meeting,
busy
I'd probably
time.
come, but
Yeah. All right. Is there a motion to cancel the July meeting? And if so,
I'll move to cancel it and we'll get it discussed.
all right, I got a motion. Can I have a second? Mandy is seconding. All in favor? Anybody
Of
opposed?
discussing it?
Anybody want to discuss it? I think we kind of discussed it. Anyone opposed? Okay, July meeting is canceled. Casey, I need you to do 2 things.
Okay,
Send in Nicole Parator at the chamber a note to have her put it in what's happening that we're canceled.
okay,
And stick a sign on the door on the 11th.
Okay.
Here that says we canceled.
So, Bill, how much am I allowed to spend, write checks for without the board approval? Is it 500, is it 1,000? I can't remember.
Oh, I have to pull up your.
Okay, so, I'll need to write rent, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So I'll be paying bills
Right.
differently than we do.
Mhm.
Can we give her approval now to do that?
Yeah, that's what I think we're requesting.
So the normal things up to 1,000 that don't need board approval.
Right.
I motion to approve you to pay our normal bills in July.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, done. All right, anything else from finance? Treasury, I should say.
No,
Okay. Dave, anything from finance?
Just, we did hold our first finance committee, subcommittee meeting. We reviewed and discussed changes to the capitalization policy and internal control policies that I'm consolidating right now, and I will provide to the board now in the August meeting to review, and I owe the minutes to Casey. Other than that, nothing else to add.
Yeah, and if you can put those on ahead of time
I
and
will.
people can look at them and it just makes.
and I think you're gonna have governance take a peek at them.
Yeah. Bill.
Yeah. Yep, they got a meeting Monday night.
Who's on governance?
Mandy and Gina.
All right, moving right over to governance then.
So we're gonna follow the plan that we talked about last time, which is do a very short meeting, barring any public discussion. And they've already got the agenda. We're gonna say, yep, it looks like the titles are
Which
well
got
theirs.
lost in my email. so.
Yeah, and then our big focus will be November in preparation for January.
Bill, did you send me the agenda? Can
I'm
you
not gonna
send
say yes.
Can you send me the agenda, please, so I can post it to the
Sure.
website?
I'm sure it's in my sent box. So,
Send
right.
or resend.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
One bullet, isn't it?
He actually has a whole list, but I.
Public comment.
And Mandy has the keys.
Yes.
Mandy
Okay,
has the
perfect,
keys.
thanks.
All right, good. Club Street. Nothing?
Waiting to close, supposed to close this week with Ron. He didn't file something, so that got delayed. Everything is ready to close. We've had surveyors down there. Marking out the utilities, the plumbing and all the things that need to be marked.
And is that like part of the grant, like, so who are the engineering guys?
Edgewater put all that together.
Edgewater. Did the town award Edgewater more work? Like, so they did the big grant and now they would, my guess would be they're gonna do the implementation of the big grant.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the design phase and then we're gonna be going out to bids and we've got to do the asbestos. I mean, it's just
So,
layers and layers of governmental.
so we did a lot of work on this communication plan,
Mhm.
the communication form. Can you make sure that the town fills that out and sends it to the village and to us? Because somebody asked me, they said there were engineers downtown and they were doing all this stuff and I'm like, I don't know anything about it. And that's why we did that form. So if you could just, it's pretty easy to fill out. If you could just fill that out or any other, same for the village, right? Or us, if we're up, like, if we were going to apply for the Market New York grant for the chamber, we would be filling that out and giving it to the other two entities. So we just want to make sure we're following that process and it's new. So if we could get that, Dan,
Is it a new grant they applied for them?
it's like the new phase, right? So.
No, I
they're-
don't think they're
no.
doing anything new. I mean, they're under contract to do the
part of
design and
phase
bid.
one.
It's part of phase one. They're
Well,
not doing
it's for the
anything.
docks,
It's for the docks. They're
Oh.
not doing anything new.
right?
It's their existing contract. I don't think Edgewater's doing anything new at this point.
No.
Well, I
We had
thought-
a meeting with
For sure.
Figueroa.
Yeah, so I guess what again, it's just maybe where the phases are on the big grant, because we spent a lot of time on what the phases are on the waterfront stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that sort of says, this is how far we've contracted with Edgewater, and then like, when would there be another phase where we're contracting another thing with Edgewater? That's, we just don't have that, and when we get these questions, I mean, we're like, where's the
Should
LDC? And we don't
Should we
know.
do like a monthly update on,
Well, Scott does
The
the
progress.
report.
But I guess the question is, it's not resources from the LDC, that communication.
Right,
form is
but
when you want to use my
the communication
resources.
form says anything that the town or village are doing to develop, and then on the form, they say whether they want to use our planner.
Oh,
So they
okay.
would say in that form, they're not using you.
I don't,
If it's something new.
I don't think Edgewater's doing anything new. They're working on the
It
LWRP
just,
phase
again,
one.
it was one of those things where a community member said, oh, there's all these people engineering, what's going on? And I'm like,
Yeah, actually, the
don't know.
village didn't know either specifically because they were up further on the street. But I guess they had talked to Marty, so the village should have known, but we didn't get that. full
yeah, just if, again, I think it's just one of those things that we just don't want to look like we don't know what's going on.
just tip and form?
Dan, do you
Yeah.
want a progress report or like an update report from Edgewater? Okay.
I mean, we meet with them periodically. We met with them today with Figueroa's.
No, I just, and if you did, if you could just forward that, that makes all the problem.
Or maybe just, even if we just try the form and see how it works.
all of the partners are coming to town on June 25th for an in-person meeting. We will be down on the waterfront.
What partners?
Engineer, Edgewater and their subs, so like their survey team, their, all the MWBs they're using to do some environmental work, to do the wave study, things like that. I don't know.
Will there be a public meeting, I was asked? Or is it just with individual
I don't think there's
stakeholders?
a public meeting at that time.
Just
So
a
no
working.
public.
Just working meeting with the landowners, and then meet with the Figueroas on site at their building. And it's just a matter of like a kickoff meeting with all the subcontractors that are working under Edgewater to do the design. And
How did it go
the
with the Figueroas today?
process started.
It was just preliminary. I mean, the town hasn't actually met with them yet. But we had a good discussion today. He's open. He's got some ideas of his own and certainly open to ideas that we have. And, you know, it's a matter of hashing it out and making it work for both sides.
So who met today?
Ben, Greg, and their architect, myself. That was it. Yeah, 4 of us.
And Mike Figueroa.
Well, did you,
I was in Albany today.
will there be minutes? Will Ben do them like he did the first time?
He took notes.
He
I
took
don't
notes,
know if it'll be minutes, but it was just a kind of a preliminary.
Good, good though.
This is kind of some ideas that we have, this is ideas that he has, and then, you know, matter of moving along.
Okay. And anything else in the Club Street area? Yeah, Dan, give a shot at that form and see if it works, if you don't
Is
mind.
that the grant form or is that?
No, it's the one, it's called communication form. We all voted on it and agreed with it. Bill took it to both boards and asked them to use it, and it's
Just
on
to
the
keep
Google
this
Drive.
group updated,
It is the
so.
same as the grant form, Dan. It's just, you gotta check the box that you're not using LDC resources.
And I think there's a
Yes, right.
That is
modification that
correct.
our board.
Yes, there is a
Made a
modification to it.
recommendation to change, and I will send that out to everyone. I think I left it in my other folder. I apologize.
Okay. Well,
Um,
let him use the existing one
yeah,
for now. if
But
we
to
could.
clarify, because it was a little bit, it's like a two-purpose form, but we need to just tweak it a little bit.
That's fine. That would be good. And that's why I want Dan to use it, right? Because if we're exercising it, we'll get better.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right, Dan, any other things on town activities?
Still wait for state parks to get final fence plan designs to National Park Service. Just, I don't, it's that crazy.
I know, it looks really nice without that. When I'm volunteering up there, it looks good. That's-
We're discussing, you know, grants, future grants. We met with Scott. We're gonna reapply for the BIG grant again, for an additional dock. We're gonna look at phase 2 LWRP grant with Department of State. That has not been approved by the board, but it's certainly a discussion that we're gonna be looking at our next board meeting.
That phase 2 is based on conceptual things that Edgewater did.
Phase 2 at Club Street?
Continuance of,
There'll be additional package that the big grant's not applying for. They're due July 31st, so it's the intent of the town to approve it next week and get you a communication sheet.
Is the big grant also for
For my
Club
time.
Street?
That's
Okay.
what you have to do. It's
Yeah.
not funny.
I
It's the
wasn't being
process.
funny, I'm saying they plan to get it to you.
we also talked about, you might have to help me out, but it's a grant for outside entity to come in and write and work on a comprehensive plan. It would be a joint grant with the town and the village. I think you said it was 100,000. It'd be a
Is that the smart growth?
Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan Grant, yep, it's a $100,000 grant.
I think it makes good sense.
It's a $10,000 match, would be 5,000, 5,000,
Yeah.
or 4,000, 6,000, whatever you do.
Yep.
Would it make any difference which the village or the town who went for it at this point?
I don't think it matter who the lead, you
It has to be-
co-applicants.
It has to be a municipality,
be a
though. It can't be
municipality.
the LDC.
It can't be the LDC, gotta be a municipality, you have a comp plan that hasn't been, really updated and accepted since 2012, although I updated it in 19,
Never really got.
neither
finalized.
highway department finished it and neither board finalized it.
Yeah, it basically needs to be.
So timing is, I think timing is perfect.
It's due July
To go
31st
ahead,
as
yeah.
well.
And it's a lot of work and if we can get it.
So you've already agreed to do it for the town? Was there like a set fee or it would just be part of your agreement?
I haven't agreed to do it.
Okay.
We haven't even discussed it with our whole board yet.
Oh,
They're gonna discuss it next Thursday.
We just
Gotcha.
talked about it today and it just seemed to make a lot of sense.
I guess
Because it's,
that depends on what you guys do with my contract, if it's gonna be extended or not, or if I just got a contract directly with the town moving forward.
you know, we would set up, as we have in the past, probably a committee, you know, that people are interested in.
That's
working
what
with.
they do. I have two other ones that were awarded last year that I'm working with them, so it's $110,000 project. You go out to RFP, planning firms around the state will apply. You select a committee, usually town board member, village board member, planning board members, zoning board members, local business people.
I was on two of them before.
And they
remember.
hold,
That's long.
that way you
Good.
have an
That was
outside
good.
party that's not involved, that holds public meetings,
Yeah.
hold the committee meetings, they meet with the school. They will incorporate the state's new smart growth policies into your local zoning and planning. That are now part of all their grant applications. You have to have
Which we
this
don't
one.
have in our LWRP, so that's
Correct.
another topic.
So,
That's so tangled.
and then they do the seeker, they work with the county planning, so it's all paid for. I mean, it's just a 10% local share. So.
Yeah, Irene had recommended the village do it as well, so.
Yeah,
And she
well,
said
you
we
have a
would.
joint plan, so it makes sense that you apply.
Somebody.
Yes, one of us has to.
One of you be the lead and the other. Be the co-applicant.
Anything else?
Other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Pam.
So what did we have? We had a bunch of people come to our meeting because of the Carlton Villa. But turned out, and Ron Clapp came and people were concerned in the village if they were gonna tear that house down, do parking. And it's apparently pretty restricted as far as what he can do for the parking. So I think most people were relieved, although it still has to go to planning board. Barry's running, we're excited about that.
Is George running it or is like Matthew's running?
But George is still pretty much in control. And
And
so
just curious,
Jerry and I are trying to meet with him unsuccessfully, but we will meet with him.
still no resolution on it.
No resolution, but we just want him running, so we'll work with him however we have to keep that moving back and forth. And still no word from New York Forward. As far as when they might know the next step for us. And grants, do we need to talk about grants now or later?
Sure, we certainly can.
Okay, so really, the ones that we have identified, the East End Park, like I said, the phase 2 of the LWRP for the Everly property. If we do submit for it, the village would be doing that on their own.
And you're gonna fill out a communication
Oh,
form
we
for that.
definitely will.
Okay, thank you.
And obviously, like, that's such a time crunch here, so I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
sure what's
fine.
gonna
Just,
happen
yeah,
with that.
just-
Yeah.
You know,
The engineering planning grant, I believe, Bernie Carr, Jerry has talked to them preliminarily, so I'm not sure what will, that, and nothing is firm yet. We still have to, talk about that. The village, and town smart growth comp plan. That we definitely want to do. That was 35 to 50 hours. That was probably what you anticipated, Scott, for
I
time.
think about 30 to 40 hours.
Okay, yeah. Let's see, the LWRP for East End Park has, well, it's supposed to be closed out. I think you kicked back the final thing,
Sent this
so that should be finalized, so that will be done. That would be done. So, and the LWRP, So the changes, if any, would be submitted to the state by the village. I don't think there's, but there are still some things that we're not ready to approve the LWRP, and we're not sure that it reflects an equal amount of work for both the town and the village. We didn't identify many town projects, agricultural kind of things. So we just want to make sure we have a good plan. It doesn't have the smart growth strategies, which seems to be the next push from the state for awarding things. So whether we do a bigger revision to it, and I'm not sure how that would happen at this point, but that's still, we're not ready to approve it.
Okay. So currently the LWRP is in its current state is approved by the town,
It's a draft, yes. Yeah,
right?
but it has to be approved by both entities to be
Before, and
finalized.
would you
document.
would do that before you send it to New York State?
The town and village already approved the draft. It's already been through the whole process in 60-day review.
We haven't adopted it.
Right, but you approved the draft at the time it was sent to the state. So,
And for it to be a working document, it has to be
Oh,
adopted
no,
by
I agree.
both organizations. And we just, I don't have the whole list of issues.
Yeah, no,
It's a whole
and I
nother
didn't want
topic.
you to enumerate them. I was just trying to understand process.
Right, but that is something that's going to take, I think we'd like the support of the LDC as we try to finalize that document. So I'm not sure exactly what it looks like yet, but sort of goes hand in hand with the comp plan. It's a lot to tackle, and well, it wouldn't be 1 year anyway. It would be years. But
yeah, if you're awarded the comp plan, it won't be awarded till November, December, RFP, January, February, probably hire a firm in
Full
March,
year,
April,
yeah.
and then they'll start. That's how the other two I've got going right now are. They started their meetings in April, May.
Clayton just applied in July of 23. They just got a contract with the state this month. So they're not going to be going to RFP until the fall. So it's
Oh,
like
wow.
a
They're a little behind.
really long, slow
Yeah,
process.
because my other two are both in the meetings already.
Anything else? Bill?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, just, yeah, as you do that, if you try completing those forms, that would be
Definitely.
really helpful. And if there's things, modifications that need to happen, let us know that so that it
Definitely.
becomes a good working document. All right. Mandy, childcare.
They are waiting for the,
Do we know when that grant gets awarded?
I want to say the 15th of July. July sometime, so.
Fingers crossed.
Getting closer.
Okay, thank you. All right, Northern New York Community Foundation. So beautiful chat. Thank you, guys. It looks great. We need somebody, and I was hoping we could do this probably while I'm gone, because I'm gone 2 weeks. We need someone to set up to, write on the check, hand it to Nicole, make sure the TI son is there, have a couple members of our board there on one side of it. I'm looking at you because, well, you're our liaison, so you should definitely be in the picture. But my hope is that somebody would say, I'll run with this publicity, because it really is important for us to get the publicity on this. And within 30 days, right, we're going to need to work with and I'm happy to work with the chamber to do this, turn in a report to Northern New York Community Foundation saying this is how we used it, but they're gonna want us to have some publicity. So we were waiting for the check. We have the check. My understanding is that the town got the money, because I talked to Tina, and there was 45 notes, but I believe the end of it was she was sending a voucher over to the chamber, so they have the money. So now is the right time. But I do think we need a couple of board members to be in the photograph, and then somebody to be willing to organize the publicity. I would normally do it, but I think I mentioned that.
I can take it. Do you have contacts at the Sun or do I just reach out to them?
Just call them up. I think it's Pam McDowell or something like that, comes to take pictures, and if you could just work with Nicole. Can somebody else free up so they could also be, so we have a couple of LDC members?
I would say coordinate it with Nicole and the Sun. push it out to everybody.
I would invite Northern New York Community Foundation as well. I can get you their contact.
Yeah, what's his name?
Max and Craig.
Max, yeah, Max, I think is who we were dealing with, right? So Max, there, he's your number. Thank you. All right, thank you, thanks. All right, so this next item under new business, the Chamber of Commerce, there was a discussion about them applying for Market New York to fund a salary for someone because they don't have enough volunteers. Nicole, thank you, because I think it's Pam, you said something, somebody sent me that there was a webinar on the Market New York grant.
Me.
Oh, it was you, thank you, I knew somebody did. Anyway, Nicole attended, and so I spoke with her today, and she said she really didn't feel it was the right, fit for them. It's a $50,000 minimum, so they're gonna go in a different direction. The other thing was, she did want to work with us in the fall. They had a couple of ideas, so we might want to do some kind of a joint meeting in the fall with them. One was, is there a second tier of a New York State Welcome Center that the chamber could become, because we're in not only an entrance to New York State, but also an international one. And I said, we could certainly work through Scott Gray at the state level and, cross your man Gillibrand and say, pop up some bucks, and make it spiffier. So they want to explore that. They've done some talk about kiosks, but I think it might make sense maybe in a future meeting, maybe October, to have them come and say, hey, this is what they're planning, how might we partner? So that was that one. It's not on the agenda, so before we go to this next one, the Arts Council approached me. They would like to share our office and split the rent. Because they want,
Rent.
yeah, our $150, they'd like to do 75. They just really need a place. They want a file cabinet, which they would move in. I know we use it occasionally for meetings. They wouldn't be using it on the Saturday that you work, or if we hopefully some point can go to 2 Saturdays because someone other than your secret shopper shows up. Neil went in and pretended he was like a community member as his secret shopper. Anyway, she knew who he was right away. Totally. But the idea of we could split the cost. I wanted to bring it up to the board to see what your reaction to that was, and then we'd obviously have to approach the landlord to say, would they be okay? And we could do something like, once a quarter, they give us, 75 times 3 or something. What do people think about it?
It's not, we don't use the office that often, that, do we need an office? That's always my question.
Well,
first
it
and
gives us a
foremost.
place to store, and hopefully over time, we will. That's why we wanted Casey sitting there. The
Right.
people will come in, right? And
Ultimately, we should have a lot of our studies there that have been printed. We have some existing.
yeah, we just have, I ripped all the stuff that was water stained
Right.
down and put up Club Street.
But it would be nice to
So,
have,
yeah,
I mean, we've got different plans that were done over the years that are just informational that
Yeah.
we use as reference.
But it sounded to me like, once a month they'd use the office for their meeting, it wouldn't be,
That one wouldn't bother Casey.
somebody else?
I would just question if our goal for the office is for people to identify that as the Cape Vincent Local Development Corporation, do we want it to be known as the other community center?
And plus, we did get a PO box, right, or an address and all of that to really
Right.
distinguish it.
No, nothing.
Didn't think of
opposed,
that,
but-
yeah.
Yeah, I think they have their own PO box, so
Right,
it
so
wouldn't-
that wouldn't
that wouldn't be a film at our
It's more
PO box.
just affording them space,
Yeah, they just want some space.
periodic space.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a
If they want to hang a sign, then it'd get a little.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was
confusing.
wondering about signage, that's where my mind was. going.
Right.
What's up to you guys? I told them I'd bring it up.
I mean, are they asking for signage? We don't know.
No, not at this point. I mean, I could ask that question.
Because I think we're not interested in, I think I'm not interested in dual signage on the
Right,
door.
exactly.
No, I think that's.
Giving them a space.
Yeah. Right.
And then I think you might have to amend the lease.
Yeah, we would.
And I think we could just do it for 6 months to see
See
if
how
that's
it
okay.
works.
Well, I think we'd have to, I mean, obviously, if we think it's a good idea, then we have to go to the landlord and say,
right,
do you think it's a good idea, right? Are you using, what are you using for internet when you're there?
The Bernard and Doctor.
You are,
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
Yep.
so that would be another piece, because they sort of let us use that for free. I don't know how much they would use it.
Yeah, and you'd
Um,
hate to have them raise the rent because now there's two entities using it and.
Right. Well, so how about if I go back to them and send an email and say, overall, I get the feeling people are comfortable if the landlord was comfortable and wouldn't raise our rent.
Correct.
But no signage. Is signage a problem?
No, I
Does that
think
sound like a
that-
good response, and then I can get back to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
And I think it would be, I mean, the idea is that we grow and we actually do use that office. So I
Yeah.
think it.
Well,
should
and
be
they would
thinking of it.
love to get their own space, but they don't really need a space
Yeah.
yet. So I think it's one of those things where they want to temporarily share, and then ultimately, they would have their own space.
That might actually be something to keep in mind that when we grow and if we grow out of that space, to have space that we rent out, like a separate office that we rent out to
Like a
community.
conference room or something.
Yeah,
Or even like that, they want to keep their files there. So if there's other community organizations that want to have a safe place to keep
Yeah,
files that are
actually,
community.
that's not a bad idea.
We
That's
could,
helping foster growth.
right?
Right.
Yeah, if we had a building or an office space that had 2 or 3 offices, we only need maybe 1 or 2, right? And the other office space could be a community office.
yeah,
The whole community workspace is a big thing
yeah.
too, so there might even be able to be grants for that. I don't know.
All right, so I'll tell them about the signage and say, people definitely don't want other signage. We'd have to clear it with the landlord, and we'll see. There's no sense of, oh my God, they have to have an office by next week. So it was just,
Okay.
she was dropping off books for our joint speaker series with the White House, and she asked me. Okay, the next one is NICOM 2024 Community Revitalization Conference, which is the 10th through 13th, like worst possible time for anyone in Cape Vincent. And Oswego. Pam, are you gonna go?
I'm interested in, it's not anything I have time for. Somehow I don't know how to say no sometimes. I am thinking about it.
Okay.
I haven't totally decided, but we're NICOM members from the village.
So that would be
I
last.
could go, right, as a member.
Yeah.
What's the com part of NICOM stand for?
New York State.
Mayors, Commission of Mayors.
Commission mayor.
The agenda looked extremely good,
It does.
I mean, and I
And it's
think,
not far to
I think
go.
like
I feel
sending
like I
Bill
could
to this
squeeze
class,
in.
at least having one person
Yeah.
go to it. But I wanted to bring it up to say, if Pam is going, that may cover us. If anybody else wants to go, we did send the agenda out. I sent that out when Pam sent it to me. Does anyone else from the board want to try to go to that?
I haven't even looked at the agenda.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you just,
I think it's
you're
a
just
lot
gotta be like,
smaller
oh
than
God, I
what
don't
yours
want to go to
was
something
at
else.
your event, so. But I'll let everyone know in the next week or so. I'll make up my mind about it.
Okay, but I wanted, Jim had said something that he might
Oh,
want to go,
okay.
and I know he's signed off.
Oh, okay.
How do you guys feel about Jim going? I don't know that Jim realizes it's French Festival weekend. But,
I would support him going if he wants to go,
Yeah.
for sure.
okay, so do we
As far as
want
I'm
to pass?
concerned at that cost, if 2 people wanted to
If
go.
anyone
It's
wants to
not, I
go,
know,
right?
if somebody else wanted to go, I'm just so tied
Yeah,
up on
that's
the
big though.
13th, I can't,
It's a really good conference.
yeah.
It's
So,
Wednesday.
Through Saturday.
yeah, it's through Saturday, which is a problem, it's French Festival.
I think it's Wednesday, Thursday.
I was thinking it was done on Friday. All right, well, let me toss that.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can
so,
always
yeah,
leave.
that
No,
makes
it's
sense,
not.
it wouldn't be
No.
on Saturday,
It's
so
not
it'd
on
be
Saturday.
through Friday,
Right,
so,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
yeah.
it is Friday, right?
So Jim said he would like to go,
I
but
think
if anybody else wanted to go instead of him, so, do we have a motion to fund Jim going? Because Pam would get paid for by the village.
It's only the 10th and 11th.
Oh, 10th and 11th.
Right,
Go.
right, that sounds right. So
I
it's the
motion
10th
for Jim to go
Wednesday,
if he.
Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, so Mandy motioned that,
We'll sign him. Let's make him go. He's not here.
being straight, that we are recorded, so we know you did that. Okay, so, all right, so it's the 10th and the 11th. Pam, you are likely going to go.
I'm likely going.
And I have a motion on the floor from Mandy for us to fund Jim to attend. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Carol will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
After June 21st, it goes up $25. So
Okay.
just want to get a check to them and register by then,
After what?
June 21st,
Okay,
for
Carol.
non-members. For
Carol, can
payment,
I
it only
ask,
goes up
because I am going to be very limited on what emails I can send between now and tomorrow morning. Can I ask you to send an email to Jim, let him know we passed a motion for him to go and that he must register before June 21st?
Where does he do that?
There was an email that I sent that had all the information. Pam, could you forward it to Jim? Pam will re-forward it to Jim so it goes to the top of his email. If you could just let him know that, just as the treasurer, just let him know we authorized it, so, because he's gonna wanna know how does he get reimbursed and all that craziness. Okay? All right, is there any other new business?
Just to add, there is a broadband grant right now. It's due July 17th, for communities and partners that want to expand broadband.
Who's that through?
The governor's office, I don't know who the application.
What is it? How much is
There's $14 million available statewide.
It ties to our
Might be
fiber
something you,
optics.
But what entities can apply for that?
municipalities, or I know who does a lot of them in the North Country is the Development Authority. They work with municipalities to expand broadband. They help administer it and get them installed. So we might, if you
Is
want to
it
do it.
expand or establish?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
It's to expand or even do planning and design. It's due July 17th, I believe. I'll email it to everybody, but it might be something you want to partner with somebody like the Development Authority that already has experience in it and these programs.
Do we want to make a motion to have Scott evaluate that? I mean, July 7th is, it's,
There's actually a
it's
webinar.
coming around the corner. I'm just thinking that would be, if nothing else, for us to evaluate it for our August meeting, right? Well,
Oh,
you'd
no,
have
it's
to
due.
apply by then, right?
You have to apply before we have another meeting.
Well, when did this come out? Is the question I have.
June 6th, so not too many days ago.
So you don't get a lot of time on any of this stuff.
Dan and I just got one today that's due June 17th.
June 20th.
Like today,
Just released it
13,
today.
7 days.
Is there a lot to go into
What
this
was that
broadband
for?
one, do you know?
I don't know.
I mean, I just really.
Workforce development.
We've already got it.
Yeah.
To,
I saw rural, I saw no.
well, yeah, just, I mean, when you look at all the
I don't know
things you
anything
guys
about
have
this stuff.
listed.
Broadband is one of them, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not a low priority, it's not a. high
$49
priority.
million.
To make it
Fun.
high, it's crazy.
I know.
But it's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity.
So we've always talked about strategic plan, even if you have low items or anything like that, over a 36-month lifespan. But if opportunities come up, then because it's iterative, then you shove it to the top.
And it's,
So
and it's what I always say on other programs. If you submit and don't get awarded, at least you're in front of them for the next round. Like, they're aware that you're looking to do it. It's just my thought. Like, that's.
this one is
Along
worth
that line.
considering only because we're still kind of playing around with strategic plan, I guess. But the bottom line is regardless of where the town and the village and LDC are gonna go ahead and go, I can almost guarantee you at its core, that expanding the broadband is helpful across many, many things, whether it be focus on businesses, whether it be attracting remote workers, fill in the blank. expanding the housing, and then we have the broadband architecture already in. It supports so many things. And so if it's not that onerous, it may be worth considering. Just food for thought.
But we can't apply.
No,
I don't know. I can check. I guess it goes back to, has your 501c3 been switched from
No.
private to public yet?
No,
Go ahead. Okay.
So not one of the
But even if we
municipalities or the
could-
Development authority could apply for you. You
even
could
if it
partner
was
with the
switched,
development authority.
why would that matter?
Because you can apply for, because as a public entity, you are eligible for a lot of these grants. But if you're private right now, you're not. Like, this is there's a 135-page booklet for CFAs, and most of them say 501c3 public entities can apply for most of these programs. The LWRP program, Parks and Recreation you can apply for, Market New York you can apply for. Once it's switched to public, you could be the lead on all these. If you're private right now, you can't.
Is this a grant that is out yearly, you know, have you seen it before?
Usually it's a program that she invests money in yearly. It's not always the same time of the year,
Right.
every year, but normally she invests money in expanding broadband every year.
Well, if that's the case and we can't do it, then unless the town or the village picks it up, then it's moved. We'll have to go ahead and
I
strike.
don't think either entity would have an issue if we supported it.
right, but one of you'd have to be the lead agency.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're not ready.
Or if you reach out to the development authority, get them to be the lead for you if they wanted to run it and administer it. I know they do for other municipalities. I know they ran it to Carthage and West Carthage for us. They went out and got
Could
a
that
grant.
come from this body, or would it have to come from the town or village, that request?
I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, the partner on the application might have to be the town or village, but I think if you want to pursue it, I mean, I can reach
I
out
don't
to the
think the
development.
town would have any
authority
issue,
tomorrow.
I don't think the village would,
No,
you know,
definitely.
it's gonna be, if that's the avenue that needs to be taken, if the interest is there,
Yeah.
my thought is go for it. Chances are you're not gonna get it the first time around anyway. Right.
Yeah. Can you research it and tell us like what the
I'll reach out to the
match
development
and all
authority.
that, so.
I'll do all that. There's a webinar coming up.
But we're thinking it has to be the town and village, not us.
Or partner with development. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, if they're in tune with it. I
Yeah.
mean,
I followed up with Liz on May 13th as the status of changing this, and she's got her power attorney back for us, but, you know, it's again. So I'm gonna talk to her because I really want to understand what the public versus private, because she was saying that's pretty much mostly the donation side of things, so I'm trying to look at that.
But that's what the community foundation told us. They couldn't give us the money because we're private.
Well, he said, actually, his email was right here, he's not positive, but it could affect our ability to apply for state grants. But that's a, he's not positive, but it could.
No.
I haven't seen anybody positive, or I haven't seen anything in writing. That's why I'm asking this question.
No, but. Okay, I'll show you the CFAs. It says public entities right now. Like, it says 501c3 public entities.
Okay, so
What a
where-
huge mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So, where do we want to go with this? Scott's on contract with us till the end of the month. What do you guys want to do? Do you want him to investigate it in the 2 weeks we've got left on the current contract, because we do not have a new contract in place?
What does it take to do a quick application for something like that, that you don't actually expect to get anyways?
I haven't applied for some before. So
And we're thinking Dank would apply for it, correct?
they could, yeah.
They
I
could
mean, if
with
you
partnering
can
with
get them to partner with.
Right.
And I think that's the email.
I mean, I'll reach out to Dank tomorrow and have a conversation with them to see if they're interested and if they have the time to assist us. And I'll email everybody.
There's a webinar for it on the
Yeah,
25th.
25th. Yeah.
Sign up for it. It's at 11 a.m.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great.
If you can get the broadband out of your house.
I got Spectrum that goes in and out. If you
Rogers
have to come
will-
down to.
I'll just
Rogers
tap
will
to
cover you.
Rogers,
Rogers will cover
my government phone.
you. Okay. All right, good. Anything else? All right, we need a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
I would just like, if you want to go in executive or not, to get a contract update. And then in November of last year, we, had some negotiations and we entered a 6-month agreement with the full intent of extending my contract a year before the 1st of June, and we're 2 weeks away from not having a contract. And I mean, I feel like I've done everything I've been asked to do, and it's not fair to me at this point again.
Again.
I've done over anything that I've been asked to do, I've done. And whether you want to go into executive and discuss it, I mean, I don't think it's.
Yeah,
really
I think that is the intent, is to go into executive session and discuss it. So we will need a motion to go into executive session. And one of the officers will get back with you on where we end up, so you don't need to wait around or whatever. And you can, I'll send you one motion to come back out. And what occurs, so you can add that to the, or something else. That's true, somebody else probably will. All right, so yeah, so you can disconnect the recording and both of you guys can take off.